Hello everyone. So, Waterloo Road Series 1, Episode 5. This is one that I didn't really remember from this series too much. Like, for the most part, as we've been going episode by episode, I've had some form of recollection of things. But for the most part, this one sort of fell under the radar. I remembered aspects of it, like Steph's mock being monitored by Jack. I knew that was coming. Couldn't remember when or where, but I knew that because of how badly the coursework was handled, because the house captains were cheating, that this plot was coming and that Steph was going to do everything in her power to basically prevent this situation from occurring. But on the whole, this episode, I don't remember a lot of it. It kind of feels a bit like the first two episodes, as the character of the week isn't as as the character of the week isn't as concrete as others. So if we take one of the previous episodes, for example, so if we look at the episode where Jack believes that he impregnated a student and he's being blackmailed and it's not the case and stuff, that was very much the forefront. Whereas with Zach Walker here, they didn't really know what to do. So, like, if we look at the opening, I really rated the opening set piece, literally in this case, the first few minutes where Steph arrives at school. But before we even know it's Steph, there's just this beautiful shot of the school, and I was looking at it and I felt so nostalgic for literally we are right at the beginning, but that school building is this is the set for the next 7 series, and it's just so iconic. I know it's knocked down, it doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, but I would love to walk around it and visit it and tour it. I think the BBC made such an error by destroying both the Waterloo Road buildings, the Rochdale one and the Scotland one, and I think that, if memory serves right, the set for the new one has moved to a new building for the 3rd time. There's not a concrete set, which I think's really stupid, especially with the reboot. If they had one set for the reboot, like they did, pretty much for the whole run, you could offer tours out. They could make extra money when they're not filming to have Waterloo Road fans come and visit the building and visit parts of the set. I don't get why they didn't do that, even if they didn't have access to the full building. If we look at the original run, imagine that building exists and you could walk around. You could walk around the corridors, the staircase that's got the graffiti all over it. You could take a look at the headmaster's office and see different iterations, see how it's changed with the show. You could look at the classrooms, like Tom's classroom or Grantley's classroom or Steph's classroom. You could see the science block or the food tech section that comes in later on in the show. And even the Scotland one, I still think there would be fans out there that would visit the Scotland set. I would. I actually, a lot of the Scotland episodes are quite rubbish, but as a set, I do like it. It's not like the original, because that's just going to be the best, but it would still be a fun thing to come and see. And given how popular Waterloo Road is, I think it's the second most popular show on the BBC. I think Doctor Who still holds the top mark, but I think Waterloo Road is second. So I just think that there's money to be made in doing that, and I don't understand why they didn't. Sorry for my little tangent. I just think that that shot made me think of it, and I would pay good money to just go and do it. I could even make a video of it. I could be like, yay, all is new, Waterloo Road set tour video, Rochdale, and then do another one, and it's Lanark or Greenock. I can't remember wherever it's called in Scotland. I apologize for my ignorance. And then, I could do the modern set, which is also in Manchester. So I just think that, it just feels a bit wasted, to be honest with you. So I did write some notes down. Right. So, one thing that I really like about this series specifically, and other series have done it too, this isn't an only thing, but I think that because of the 8 episodes and how tightly woven the plot is, I really appreciate when events and things are referenced. Not just last week we had blah, 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 which happens quite a lot. But Jack gets the call about the LEA doing the visit. And as we know, that visit is the next episode. It's episode 6. Because at the end of the episode, after seeing how badly Steph handled the whole situation with the coursework and just how poor the coursework was. Like, most students only writing a bit or nothing. Like, Jack had enough and was like, Andrew, I need you to go on a field trip with Steph. And Andrew's like, you can't just brush it under the rug. And Jack's like, no, I'm going to deal with Steph. I just need more time. Right now, I need your cooperation. And they go off on the school trip to the museum, and Lewis and Janice cause problems and stuff. Like, that's being referenced here. That's an upcoming thing. And that's sort of, this is what I mean. It doesn't, it's just makes the world feel that much more believable and lived in. It's like the events that are stacked. It makes it feel more serialized. And I get that Waterloo Road is always serialized. Like, the plots carry on, previous storylines are referenced, but I do really appreciate little details like that. Like, it's not just Waterloo Road that I love it when they do that. It's like, if you look at series 10 of Doctor Who, Capaldi's last series, the first, like, 3 episodes are just basically, like, melt into each other. So, like, you have Bill discovering the TARDIS, they go off, and then they land in the future or a different colony where humans are governed by emotions, and then they mean to go back to the present day, but the Doctor takes them to the frozen lake in London in the 1800s, and then you have thin ice, and then finally they arrive back at the university, and it's like, despite it being 3 separate episodes, they all sort of meld together, and it makes it more cohesive. So yeah, that the events being referenced, and I know that does happen a lot in the show. Like, a lot of Series 9 in particular, I'm using Series 9 because I love it and because I watched it recently. All of those episodes kind of meld together. Like, Audrey has the idea to do the World War II week and runs it by Christine, and then a week or two later it happens, and then all series long in the back half, Simon and Hector are talking about the resilience camp, and then we get to the resilience camp, and like that. I think it makes it feel more believable and more like it's a term at a school than if we just had random little episodic things happen across like 10 weeks. Like, yes, you could still have the cohesion of it running in a narrative from like the start of term to the end of term. That's the thread. But it feels more believable than just, oh, this happened, then 2 weeks and a half later, this happened, and it feels much more like tightly connected. So yeah, that was really good. So going back to the point that I said earlier on about Steph, like, it's funny because it's so clear that Steph is just sort of bullshitting her way through it. Like, Jack is aware of what's happening. Like, we know Jack Grimm is not a moron. He does things by the book. He's a good head teacher. He's feeling a lot of pressure, and he respects those that are hardworking and will essentially have the back of his like peers and the pupils and stuff. Like, Jack is a good head in that way. He's gritty, but he's got real integrity and a strong moral compass, which is still present in the modern show. Like, he was ready to knock Darius down no matter the cost, just to get Stella a job back, to keep Stella out of prison. Like, that bit where he's like to Steph, oh, I was going to drop it, but I'm not going to let this lie. And then he like defends Stella against Darius to Serena Michelle, like stuff like that. That's who Jack is. So when Steph does this really dumb and feeble attempt to like hide what's happening, Jack sees right through it. He's like, oh, the students are thick, but why would the houses steal their own work and leave them mobile and stuff? And Steph's like, you challenging me or whatever. And it's so clear Jack knows exactly what happened. And Steph is just like, oh no. And then, as we said, the coursework is abysmal. Jack knows he needs to sort Steph out. Steph is trying everything in her like arsenal to keep Jack on her good side. I mean, she's doing the usual flirty stuff, like the scene that was slightly cringe, where she was like, "Ooh, Jack," shows him part of her bra, and she's like, "It's French lace," and Jack's like, "You're unbelievable." And I'm just sat there like, "Oh, I can't go with this." And then when Jack, Kim, and Andrew are all talking about like strategies, and they're having their fish and chips, and Steph sends him that crude text, and it's like, oh, is there no limit that this woman won't go to? And I mean, we all know Steph. We know this is just part of a character. Like, she flirts with Joe in the hope that like she doesn't have to do any hard work and stuff, and basically like tries to challenge Max and stuff. And we just know that like Steph is just this lazy woman who will do anything to get out of hard work. So that was quite fun. What's also interesting is, So, despite not making the opening credits and not being considered a main character, Grantley kind of has the spotlight in this episode. So, we see that, like, Grantley has his, English department meeting, and you can see Andrew's there, Tom, Izzy, and Lorna are all there. There's a few background characters. That one teacher with the red hair and the waistcoat, that extra is in the background. If he was a teacher at that school, he'd be ripped apart by the likes of Lewis Seddon and his gang. So, kind of wish we could have seen him in the classrooms. I think that would have been quite amusing. I digress. I don't think those extras look like the sort of teachers that would be at Waterloo Road. Like, I know you shouldn't judge by looks, but I couldn't imagine those extras coping. It's a bit like when Daniel first arrives, and you just think, oh, Chalky's just going to get eaten alive here. Like, that's sort of the vibe, like in the nicest way possible. And like Andrew's doing all these things. He's like, oh, but if you want to get the kids interested in Shakespeare, you've got to act it out. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. And like Grantley's like, no, wouldn't work. And was basically knocking every idea Andrew had down. And Andrew's like, yeah, but I bet these students can recite all of the lyrics to like a popular rap song. And Grantley's like, well, yes, that's because it has sex and swearing in it, and starts laughing it off. And Grantley's not wrong, but I do think he's sort of diminishing these kids too much. Like, we know when they want to be, they can be like manipulative and like controlling. Like, say what you want about Lewis, but he knew how to like coax by. Like, yeah, he was bullying and belittling students to do it and paying Ahmed to do it for him and stuff. But like, it's stuff like that. Like, they're not stupid. Neither is Janice. And Janice has actually got a good compass. It's just Grantley can't seem to look past them. Like, I love early Grantley. Like, Grantley is in the first two series, and maybe some of series 3 as well, sort of painted as the villain character. Like, he's the bully teacher. He's the teacher that all the kids are scared of. He's the teacher that disregards everything. The staff don't like him. They see him as an issue. But unlike Steph, he can actually get results to some degree. He can control the classroom. He's like a slightly more competent Steph, but a lot more of like a bullying kind of an asshole character, and one that we see get challenged by like Andrew and Jasmine, Kim sometimes, Rachel, Michael, and like Miss Chowdhury. I'm just trying to think of other ones. Eleanor Chowdhury, yeah, sounds about right. Even Tom at times is like, Grantley, you're taking this too far. And it's interesting because, like, I did a whole video which should be coming out on my other channel in the next week or two from when this goes live. So keep an eye out for it. And I basically did a 15-minute long character study of Grantley, where I basically went from the beginning of the show to his exit episode. And I talked about like how Grantley has the best sort of character development. I talked about his final episode and how it's a good send-off. Basically discussed how Grantley unintentionally became like the face of the show, and how he is like the legacy character of all legacy characters. And it's so interesting watching this episode because we've seen Grantley in the series so far. He's done little snipes, he's belittling people, he's being difficult basically. And there's even that line where Andrew here is like, you're walking a thin line between sniping and being deliberately difficult. Well, I can't remember what he says. But Andrew says that, like, I won't tolerate bullying and this, that, and the other. And Grantley's just sort of like, I've heard it all before, and just kind of brushes it all off, which is funny. But as we said, Grantley is not meant to be a good person here. So in that video, it's kind of crazy because I look at Grantley's last episode where he basically helps Sue Spark control the classroom. He basically realizes he made a mistake with Harley and wants to make it right. He doesn't like how George Windsor treats people, despite the fact the character archetypes are very similar, especially at this point in the show, Series 1. And it's just such a contrast because, like, this version of Grantley, although his sniping is amusing, he's very, very unlikable, especially when everything transpires with Zach Walker here. So yeah, it's just interesting to think about. Anyway, so Grantley is bullying Zach. Like, Zach's not paying attention. Zach doesn't have his homework. Fair play. The stuff that to any other teacher, Zach, to some degree, is being disruptive. But Grantley is really baiting him in this episode. Grantley is sniping at him. He's putting him down. He's calling him names. He's saying that he's not worth his time and stuff. And then eventually Zach like snaps. And yes, Zach shouldn't have like threatened Grantley, but equally Grantley put Zach in that position. Like, he startled him when he fell asleep in class. Again, Zach shouldn't be falling asleep in class. What I'm trying to say is, like, in Waterloo Road universe, and I guess the actual real world, there are ways that teachers should deal with students like Zach. And Grantley went about it in the worst possible way. He just didn't care. He wasn't looking at the student's well-being, wasn't trying to understand what was going through the student's head. All he saw was a kid who was being disruptive, and Grantley just was, for I guess a better term, trying to squash that and prevent it, but didn't quite go that way in the end. And then, like, he dumps he dumps Zach on Andrew and is like, right, you deal with him, you sort him out, it's your rules and stuff. Again, trying to make Andrew look like a fool. And then this is where, like, Kim and Andrew sort of take over. So we learn that, like, his mum's got Parkinson's disease, like, she can't work, she has good days, bad days, and Zach is basically a full-time carer. He's struggling to cope. It's where, like, the medicine and painkillers came from, which both Grantley and Andrew accused him of being a drug addict. That's where it all comes from. And it sort of humanizes Zach. Like, we see a kid who's struggling and a kid who's knowledgeable. Like when he talks to Kim and stuff after the mum, it's not like he's just some brain dead kid who's like, oh. Like, he has knowledge of the situation. He understands how to deal with it and has been dealing with it. So it's commendable. Which, in a way, makes Grantley seem that much worse, because he wasn't trying to get to the root of the problem with this child. He was just basically bullying him. And even Andrew was being a bit unfair with him. Even when he called Andrew out and was like, well, how can they be drugs if I can get them over the counter? And Kim gives him a look, and Andrew has nothing else to say than just, don't question us. Like, Andrew, come on, man. Like, you made a good point. Just shut up. That actual scene where Kim and Andrew get into the house and confront Mrs. Walker, it felt very reminiscent of the scene at the end of Series 9 where Christine confronts Darren's mum, except this has a much nicer resolution. So, I mean, I guess this came first, so this would inspire the other scene. But, like, Darren's mum is just neglectful. She's a prostitute. She's got a chain of abusive men, and she does care for Darren. Like, she gives him money and tells him to sneak away from the flat before one of the men gets back, in case the men is, like, verbally or physically abusive towards her son. But that was very much the vibe I was getting here. Or kind of like the living situation that Scout has in Series 7, where Chris finds that her mum's gone and they have to grab the little brother and they end up staying the night with Chris. It's kind of that vibe, and I think they did it good here. Speaking of Kim and Andrew, this again really feels like where the relationship is starting to blossom. We're seeing a lot more of them sort of get on each other's nerves, but ultimately you can see that the romance and feeling and all that stuff is kind of growing. So that's quite fun to see. Like, we even see Andrew attempt to ask her out, but then he gets intervened by Jack, who wants to have a meeting and has brought fish and chips, and Kim just sort of goes along with it. Like, we've all seen the show, or, I mean, I'm guessing if you're watching this podcast, you sort of have an idea where it's going, but, like, we know that down the line, like, Kim and Andrew get married, have a child. Like, you bring Kim back in the reboot, the end game is going to be Andrew. Let's be honest. That's what they're going to do. And that's basically what happened. And this is really, I mean, you can sort of see it throughout the start of the series, but this is where I really think it's starting to become a bit more ironclad and locked in than it was. So Tom and Lorna are separating, which is fine. Figured that's where this plot was going. Is what it is. They're not happy, so they're sort of doing that, which is fine. I talked at great length for the past few episodes about this whole thing. Like, it just feels too dragged out now. Like, I know Tom's looking at flats and stuff. Just feels a bit meh. Like, I think if I was going to say anything on it in this episode, because I only want to briefly touch on it because I feel like I've already said a lot. I don't really like where that we're still here. Like, I think Tom should have moved out by now. I don't think it should have taken this long. Like, I know they get married in the first episode. This is episode 5. But I think last episode really should have been where we see Tom, maybe not at a flat, but certainly not back in the house. Like, maybe he stayed with Grantley or Jack or something, I don't know. Or even he's on Izzy's sofa. Yeah, I do think this is where we're starting to see more of a sort of manipulative, controlling side to Lorna. Like, she basically wouldn't let Izzy leave and sort of guilted her into hanging out, going back to their house, having pizza and stuff, and it was a bit awkward to watch. We see that Dante's still sort of trying to manipulate Chloe into taking the fall, because, you know, they've got this pact where they think that if they both say they did it, then neither of them can be charged, which is really stupid, and that prison officer even called Dante out on it. I think he was a bit harsh, because I think Dante's just a scared kid, but, like, he's not wrong, really. And we see Izzy sort of at the end of her tether trying to deal with Chloe, and, like, the cliffhanger being that Chloe stole the car and, like, crashed it into Tom's bin. And she's like, see, Mum, I can drive. And it's like, I don't know. I think a lot of the issue is that, like, I've watched these so recently that, like, I'm losing sort of interest a little bit. Like, I'm not in any way saying this is a bad series, because it's not. I just think if I was going to do this podcast, I kind of wish I hadn't watched the first 2 series like a few months ago, because it's too fresh in my mind, I think. And I don't like a great deal of it. Well, not I don't like a great deal of it. I think it becomes a lot more rewatchable and engaging from around series 3 onwards. I think series 3 is really where they nail it. And I'm just finding a lot of series 1 a bit of a sludge at the moment. I do still like it, and I will watch it again in a few years' time, but I think it just gets progressively better. I think that from series 1 till about 5, Waterloo Road just gets better and better. Like, 2's better than 1, 3's better than 2, 4's better than 4A's better than 3, 5A is the absolute peak of the whole show. Like, 5A is the best 10 episodes of the whole show. 5B, it's still decent, but it's significantly weaker than 5A. I will stand that I think 6A is really good. Like, I would take 6A over 5B or 4B. And I'd probably put it higher than 1, 2, 3. Like, I know a lot of people don't like it because this is where it really feels like the show changes. I really do. I'll come to it another time, but I just think that, like, I think that the Karen plot where she's trying to find the daughter is really good. A lot of the rest of it's a bit, but that specifically is gold. 6B is not great. I don't really feel like they had an idea of what to do. 7A is alright. I do kind of like, it's sort of Karen's downfall, and that's quite fun. 7B is quite forgettable, and 7C is really good. I'd put 7C up there with, like, it's not quite as good as 4A or 5A, but I'd probably put 7C sort of in that sort of grounds. Like, it's the strongest the show has been for a good while. Like, I'd even say it's better than 6A. Like, it is a very good way to end the show, and part of me wishes that was just it. I don't think 8's particularly good. I think all of 8 is very meh. I wouldn't call it bad, but it's significantly weak all the way through. 9 on the whole is really good. Like, I think 9 is the best 20 episode run that the show's had for a long time. Like, I think the heights of 4A and 5A put it higher than 9 on the whole. If, despite the fact 4B and 5B are significantly weaker, I'd still overall say they are better seasons, but I think 9 is the underdog of the whole show. I think 9 is the most underrated of the whole show. 10 is just bad. Like, 10A is slightly better than 10B, but on the whole, it's rubbish. 10A just feels too slow-paced, and 10B feels like the Oniari Series 11. It feels like 20 episodes of a different series from Series 10 crammed into 10. All these new characters and stuff, and ultimately it goes nowhere. Like, they introduced 2 main teachers in like the 3rd or 4th episode out of 10. It's like, well, what's the point? Because like the show's not coming back. And then when the reboot came out, 11's alright, 12 is good, 12 is absolutely solid, 13's alright, 14 is really good. I know a lot of people don't like Stephen Savage, but I think that it is the strongest 8-episode run of the reboot and the most consistent all the way through, even if we do get Manfred for just one series. 15's meh. I think 15's got that one really good episode where we see Stella get assaulted by that mother. Like, it's horrible to watch, but it's executed so well. And then 16, 17 in my mind are basically just one season, and that's really good. I really rate 16 and 17. So you've got Jack back, you've got Darius's Reign of Terror. That's also really good. And I think we're getting to a point now where I think that a lot of the Stella stuff feels like we're at peak Waterloo Road again. Or I don't know how long this reboot's going to go on for, but I think that when people look back at the reboot, they're going to say, oh, 15, 16, 17, maybe 18, 19, I don't know, are peak Waterloo Road. The same way people say, oh, 3, 4, 5 are peak Waterloo Road. But yeah, but I think the difference is that because we had 20 or 30 episode blocks at 4 seasons as the norm, now that we've got 8, it just doesn't quite connect. Although I kind of view it as one head teacher's run is kind of a series. So the 22 episodes we had with Kim feels like its own series, even though it's 3 series. You got series 14, which is a bit like a bridge. And then you've got the 3 series of Stella, kind of feels like a series as well. So it's kind of hard. Like, I'll end this tangent in a second, but it's like, I've had people say, oh, Ollie, all is new. Can you rank all of the Waterloo Road series? And I'm like, I could, and I would like to one day. But the issue is, I don't know how I tackle it because of the format of the show and how the episode counts vary so much. Like, would I do it arc by arc? So I would think of like 5A as its own series, 5B as its own series. Because if that's the case, 5A is going to be the absolute top dog. But if we're thinking 5 as a whole series, it might not take the top spot. And then if we think of 10 as 2 separate series, then the first half of series 10 might be higher than one of the parts of series 8. Like, it just, I don't know how to tackle it, to be honest with you. So I'm going to think of a format that works the best, but one day I will do that. But yeah, anyway, this episode, I thought it was alright. I think that, like, it felt like there was a lot going on. It felt kind of like maybe a bridge episode, because even though we've had a few episode of the week type things, and we've sort of had it a bit with Zach Walker, but here it kind of felt like, right, we're at the halfway-ish point of the series. We've got some more plot to set up. We've got some plots to resolve. We've got some character dynamics to figure out. This episode kind of felt more like a mishmashed kind of episode filled with plot threads going all over the place, and it was meant to be the bridge or the connective piece of the series that connects up the first half and the second half. Because you've got to think, from here on out, we've got a few major things to do. So next episode's the field trip. That's fine. We got the inspection where we find out a few things about the school's future. The next episode and the episode after, 7 and 8, almost feel like a 2-parter. So episode 7 is where Lewis basically makes Kim feel uncomfortable, and he gets expelled from the school. And then the last episode is the fallout from that. It's the meeting. It's Jack basically like locking down on it, and it's Dante's trial. So this kind of feels like the last push before we get to sort of the end of the series. So it's kind of interesting. Right, I guess that wraps everything up on this slightly longer one. This was All Is New and Waterloo Road Rewind. So for now, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.